I worked for that government myself in 2014 through 2019 for the last 5 years. So here is where things get very interested. If this man called Salva Kiir Mayardit is really very serious about this election, he need to go back to the SPLM headquarters, submit his application. Okay, submit his application to the Director General of the SPLM and say, I want this SPLM as my party to nominate me. And then there will be a vote. Maybe he will not even be chosen by the SPLM to run again. Maybe SPLM would find somebody else to run instead of him. But let's just hypothetically, he's chosen by SPLM. Now, he can come back. In America, we call it primary. You have to go back to your party, and your party will choose you to be the flag bearer of that to carry on the missions of the government. But here, it is only one person who made a decision to suggest that, hey, I want to run for the president, and I'm the president, and nobody should criticize me. Go anywhere around the world. You will see any government democratically elected, you must have an opposition. You cannot force yourself and elect yourself at the same time. So from here, we have understood that if there's no opposition to the SPLM, then who is this Salva Kiir joking with election of? Here's what I know. The mandate we gave them, we South Sudanese people, of the transition government is coming to an end in December. By December, everything politically in South Sudan would not be legitimate. The parliament would not be legitimate. The presidency and the vice presidencies would not be legitimate. They would have expired. So there will be no vice president after December. By January, we'll have a country that is absolutely headless. It doesn't have an institution power, leadership. So if Kiir Mayar is very smart, or he surrounds himself with very smart people, he would be advised the best way to tackle this election, you need to go back to Bill Farm, submit your application to Director General of the SPLM, which is, I believe, his name is Akol Paul or whatever his name. I don't remember his name very well. You submit, Akol will call for a convention of the whole SPLM group as a party and nominate whoever will run for election. If there's going to be genuine election, you have to be able to release all the opposition, including Dr. Riek Machar, and make condition available to every South Sudanese. Let every South Sudanese who want to contest, women, children, anyone who want to be the president of South Sudan, let them come up. Let them form their own dog party, chicken party, whatever party. Don't intimidate them. Give them free speech. Let them come out and participate. Democracy is dirty, it's filthy, and it is also rewarding when citizens participate. The issue of Nuer and Dinka fighting each other, I could go back to 1994 Rwanda. I myself, I was in Kigali when I was a diplomat in Washington, D.C. I spent time talking to Rwanda's government. How did you able to bring the communities together? The communities that are fighting group, Tutsis and Hutsis and all of that. 1994 Rwanda genocide was the most ugly story in East Africa. South Sudan, we only have poverty, we have mismanagement by the government, we have inappropriate of resources, because in the eyes of the government, it is all about looting. If they were looting all the resources of South Sudan to build South Sudan, nobody would be talking. They're building other countries. They're building Kenya, they're building Uganda, they're building Ethiopia. Hell, they're even building Australia with the money stolen from South Sudan. And you wonder why everybody's raged, everybody's angry. Because this is our country. We don't have to live in this country as if we are going to go somewhere else, or as if our citizen future doesn't matter. So at this point, I don't believe in this election that everybody's talking about. I can see my brother Ezekiel Lul, who is making a lot of noise, representing himself as now the true Nuer who want to bring peace. Is just a joke. It's just the best joke I've ever heard. Nuer is not a personal business where you can just say, I own Nuer. You don't owe anything. They are free society. They are grown-up community. They have wisdom. They can make decisions for themselves. It is not Ezekiel Lulgarkwat who would stand up and say, I'm now the new Nuer chairman. Forget about this mania called Riek Machar. I hear his politics, because when he went to his Gajak, where he said that if he allowed what is his name, this fool, if he allowed President Kiir Mayardit to be elected as president, he will pay 500 mangoes to every community. I was laughing my butt so hard on that topic. The whole point is that this country must heal first. This country has gone through a lot of trauma. I remember very well speaking to Mama Nyanengdit when I was working with her in Juba. She laughed at me and like, Bol, the level of madness in South Sudan is beyond repair. Every South Sudanese walking on the street is traumatized. Everybody's mad. The only reason you don't see them, it is because they're wearing suit, they're wearing tie, they're wearing fancy clothes. But deep inside every South Sudanese, they go traumatized, they are injured in their heart and in their mind. And she went on to say, if you walk around Juba, it is not easy to find a madman who's naked. But you'll find a madman who's wearing a tie and a suit, who's sitting in an office. You'll see a lot of them. Well, I began to believe that because I've been around these big boys, all of them. James Wanigat, Mama Nyanengdit, Tabandengai, President Kiir Mayardit, even Ezekiel Lulgarkwat, and the list goes on. Josephine, Lago, I've been around them. I know each one of them because I used to be their diplomatic communication officer here in Washington, D.C. So the truth is, don't buy into these lies that is being cooked by Ezekiel Lulgarkwat and President Kiir. The country is not stable enough to hold election. The country is not ready. The truth that I know, there will be a caretaker government by the SPLM. That's the truth I know. After December, there will be a caretaker government. We'll have another transition government. Because if we were to have a true, genuine election, you cannot convince me or convince millions of South Sudanese that you can have election while oppositions are being arrested, put behind bars. Who is going to enforce who? What is Salva Kiir Mayardit so afraid of to be challenged? If this is a true, genuine election, then you should not shut people up. You should not intimidate people. You don't hire members of your own Warab community to be electoral commissions. Isn't this the best joke? You know, you don't bring Chief Justice from Dinka and expect us to believe there's even this election. If it's going to happen, it is already rigged before even one vote is even cast. One vote, just one vote, before even it happened, it is already rigged. Because Juba wants so bad to have a legitimacy. Because by December, if there's no genuine government, the whole entire world and global society will no longer recognize South Sudan as a country, because they don't have a leader that represents moral ideas in the global society. So in this case, this election must undergo certain process. Number one, Salva Kiir Mayardit will need to go back to Bill Farm, submit his application to the General Secretary of the SPLM. General Secretary of the SPLM will call the party meeting and debate on who will be a flag bearer in the election. Salva Kiir will also need to release all the opposition group who are opposed to him, release them, and give every dissidency politician an opportunity to debate the need to South Sudan future. If he's defeated, he just needs to pack and go back to Akon where he came from. That's simple. That's how elections are done. But this idea of being forced election is where the problem is. The other reason that I saw from here in the United States, the election is only driven by two people. You don't hear anybody talking about election. If you come to Jonglei State or Upper Nile, where I came from, you'll only hear one person that used to talk about election. It used to be Mokweneluet. And you'll hear a guy from Mawil who talk about election a lot. That's Atenyeweka Ateny. You'll hear the person who is very interested about this election is Ezekiel Olgarpot. So what else changed? You don't hear permanent politicians like Kwalmanyang, Awen Akut, Mama Nyandengdit, Taban Dengai, Wanigat, talking about election. Nobody's talking about election. Why is it that these are the only people, these four people, including Abdel Bagai, are the only people that are talking about election? You could smell the truth. You could tell that this is an absolute shady election. This is not election that is worth wasting time listening to. So if you're out there wondering about, oh, there's election coming up, give yourself a nice cup of coffee, sleep, forget about it. You will see it with your own eyes come December. There's no election. Because you cannot have an election in a country where 90% of the society are either refugees in Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, and where else? Sudan. You cannot have an election. You'd be such a fool to believe that all this humanity who are in refugee camp, their voice don't matter. You'd be such a fool to believe that. Hell, you don't even know the population of South Sudan. The only population that Salva Kiir and his mafia group still have in their head is what? 12 million? Like, seriously? We are bigger than Kenya. We are bigger than Uganda. And you're telling us we are 12 million people? Your head need to think twice on that. So the whole truth is that South Sudan government don't even know the census. When you want to do any election, you have to know who are in the country. And you have to value even refugees of your own citizen. It was so good when we did the referendum here. It was so good when we rallied for independence. It was so beautiful. Now what? All of a sudden, we have owners of the country. So families and friends and fellow citizens, don't be misled to believe. It is true, we are tired of war. It is true, we are tired being laughed at by international communities, by our neighbors in Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia. We are tired. We are tired of running every single day, killing each other. We are tired of it. So if there is any genuine peace that need to be built, we need to repair what we have damaged of ourselves first. Let's begin to recultivate the spirit that brought us to independence. That spirit no longer exists. Every day I see you as an enemy. I don't see you as my brother or my sister. I see you as an enemy. And who created all this nonsense? Salva Kiir Mayardit and his mafia group. They made us fighting each other, hate each other for no reason, continue to insult each other on Facebook for no reason. And we still, South Sudan way, yay, South Sudan this, South Sudan that. It is only South Sudan on the flag, but it's not South Sudan in the heart. Let's repair the damaged heart first. Let's wipe up all the tears we have cried over the years. Let's bring our mothers back from refugees camp. Let's give them dignified return. Let's build a school. Let's build hospitals. Let's give them a chance. Let's cultivate food. And then we talk about election. This election is absolutely a garbage. And that's how I intend to end, my people. May God be with you. May God be with all of us, the confused South Sudanese. We will overcome whatever this challenge is. We've been through this many few times in life. We've been tested again and again, again and again. We went through. We were in Ethiopia together, in Kenya together, back in Sudan, and now some of us are outside the country. We are now in Australia, Canada, Denmark. We have gone places we used to dream thinking about. We now begin to speak different languages. We're no longer speaking the South Sudanese language that we used to have back at home. Now we are linguistic. We speak Arabic, English, and other Spanish, Jamaicans, whatever. Aboriginal if you're from Australia, and the list goes on. We have children who will never know South Sudan. Hell, I had conversation with my children and I said, I need to take you guys to South Sudan. And then they went quickly to look in the map. And then one of my daughters said, ew, I'm not going to that place. There's too much fighting, there's too much poverty. What am I going to do over there? There's no even McDonald's. I was laughing because I never knew what McDonald's was when I was in refugee camp myself. But you could see, in order for us to return back our children to our home, we must make that home peaceful first. We must give reason for peace. So, I see you sometime soon. Let's have this conversation going on between now and December and see where we need to be. Thank you for tuning in.